The spotlight burned through the dark auditorium like a judgmental eye. 1,000 faces stared at Ayan, waiting for him to play the final note. His fingers hovered over the piano keys, trembling, not from stage fright, but from the invisible weight of expectations crushing his chest. His father's stern gaze from the front row. His mother's forced smile. His friends' whispers about how perfect he always was. The clock ticked louder in his mind than the applause. This was supposed to be the happiest moment of his life. Winning the National Youth Piano Championship meant prestige, scholarships, and family pride. But as the first note struck, Ayan's vision blurred. In that split second, he saw a different stage, one where he wasn't performing for anyone but himself. A cold shiver ran down his spine. The music sheet in front of him suddenly seemed alien. He froze. A whisper spread through the crowd like wildfire. He forgot. Cameras flashed. The judges leaned forward. Sweat trickled down his temple. Then, the lights went out. Screams echoed in the darkness. A sudden explosion at the back of the hall. Dust, smoke, chaos. Ayan ducked as debris fell from the ceiling. Sirens wailed outside. Amid the confusion, someone grabbed his arm. A female voice, urgent and low, "If you want to live, follow me. Now." And just like that, the boy who had lived his life pleasing everyone, stepped into a night that would change everything. Ayan stumbled through the backstage corridor, coughing as thick smoke filled the air. The girl's grip on his wrist was firm, almost commanding. Her long black jacket swayed as she pushed through the exit doors with calculated precision. Outside, the night was alive with sirens, flashing red lights, and the distant cries of panicked spectators. Ayan's heart pounded, not just from the explosion, but from the sudden plunge into the unknown. "Who are you?" he gasped. "Later," she replied, scanning the perimeter. "They'll be looking for you." "For me?" "Why?" She didn't answer. Instead, she led him through an alley where a black motorbike waited. She tossed him a helmet. "Put it on. If you want answers, trust me for 5 minutes." Something about her voice was unsettlingly calm, like she'd done this 1,000 times. Against every instinct drilled into him by years of obedience, Ayan climbed on. The engine roared, slicing through the chaos as they vanished into the city's underbelly. As they raced down narrow streets, flashes of his life flickered in his mind, his father pushing him into competitions he never chose, teachers praising him for achievements that didn't belong to his heart, friends who liked the image but not the real him. For years, Ayan had played the role everyone expected. But now, in the back seat of a stranger's bike under the starless sky, something cracked open inside him, a question he'd buried too deep to face: what do I actually want? The girl pulled into an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts. She killed the engine, removed her helmet, and turned to him with piercing eyes. "Ayan Malik," she said. "Top of your class. National piano prodigy. Family's golden child. The boy who never says no." She took a step closer. "Someone just tried to kill you. And it's not random." The blood in his veins turned to ice. His entire life was built around pleasing others, but now, his life itself was in danger because of it. Ayan stared at the girl, struggling to process her words. "Kill me? Why would anyone? I'm just a student. A pianist." His voice cracked somewhere between fear and disbelief. She crossed her arms, her expression razor-sharp. "No, Ayan. You're not just anything. You're a name that opens doors. A symbol that certain people have been using for their benefit. And tonight, you stopped playing your role." Her words cut deeper than any blade. Ayan replayed the moment he froze on stage, the silence, the lights going out, the explosion. This can't be real," he whispered. She handed him a folded piece of paper. On it was a photograph, grainy, taken from a distance, but the figures were unmistakable. His father. 2 men in suits. And behind them, the same auditorium. The date on the photo was last week. Scribbled at the bottom, if you won't perform, they'll find another way. Ayan's stomach nodded. His father had always been strict, controlling, obsessed with reputation, but this? Are you saying my father? I'm saying, she interrupted, there's a network that profits from prodigies like you. Sponsorships. Politics. Money. You're the face. And when you hesitated tonight, you threatened more than just a performance. You threatened their control. Ayan backed away, shaking his head. No. My father wouldn't. She stepped closer. You can keep living for others, pretending everything's perfect. Or, she pulled open a steel door, revealing a dimly lit room filled with surveillance monitors, files, and blueprints of the auditorium. You can finally live for yourself and uncover the truth. The weight of years of people-pleasing pressed down on him. For once, he wasn't being told what to do. He had a choice. His pulse raced as he stared at the monitors. Somewhere in this maze of lies was the truth about his life. And for the first time, he wanted to find it. Outside, distant sirens grew louder. Whoever had set the explosion in motion was still out there. Watching. Waiting. The hum of old electronics filled the warehouse like a heartbeat. Ayan stood frozen before the glowing screens, each one displaying a different camera angle of the auditorium, the parking lots, even the roads leading out of the city. Whoever this girl was, she had access to more than he could imagine. She typed rapidly on a dusty keyboard. My name's Zara, she finally said without looking up. I used to be part of them. Part of who? Ayan asked, his voice echoing slightly in the metal walls. She turned to him, eyes darkened by memories. The Syndicate. A hidden network that handpicks prodigies, grooms them, controls their image, then milks the fame for influence and power. Your father wasn't just a proud parent, Ayan, he was their gatekeeper. The words slammed into him like a freight train. All the medals, trophies, perfect report cards, and award ceremonies flashed before his eyes like lies dressed in gold. You're lying, he whispered, more to himself than to her. Zara slid open a drawer and threw a folder onto the table. Inside were contracts, signed with his father's name, partnerships with corporations he had never heard of, dates that aligned perfectly with every competition he'd won. It wasn't pride. It was business. Before he could respond, a sharp beep echoed through the room. Zara's expression turned deadly serious. They found us. The monitors lit up with black SUVs pulling up outside the warehouse. Men in suits stepped out, armed and moving in formation. Ayan's throat tightened. Who are they? Cleanup crew, Zara said coldly. Their job is to make problems disappear. And right now, that's you. The lights flickered. A loud crash came from the entrance. Zara grabbed a small handgun from a hidden compartment and tossed Ayan a flashlight. You want the truth, she said, chambering a bullet. Then stop standing there like their perfect puppet, and move. For the first time in his life, Ayan wasn't playing by anyone else's script. The trap was closing, but something inside him had awakened, a fire that had been suffocated by years of obedience. The door burst open. Shadows spilled into the room. And the game truly began. The metal door slammed against the wall, echoing like a gunshot. Shadows poured into the warehouse, swift, silent, armed. Zara fired 2 quick shots toward the entrance lights, plunging the hallway into darkness. This way, she hissed, pulling Ayan toward a narrow maintenance tunnel at the back. Adrenaline surged through his veins. His breathing turned ragged, each step bouncing in rhythm with his racing heart. Behind them, heavy boots thundered against the concrete floor. Ayan had spent his life on stages, under perfect lighting, following rehearsed notes. But this was chaos, raw, unpredictable, real. They crawled through the tunnel, light from Ayan's flashlight trembling against the damp walls. Why are they after me? He whispered. Because you hesitated, Zara replied, glancing back. For years, you've been their golden boy. Tonight, you cracked their image. And cracks become threats. The tunnel opened into a storm drain behind the warehouse. Cold night air hit them like a slap. Just as they emerged, gunfire erupted. Bullets ricocheted off metal, sending sparks into the darkness. Ayan dropped instinctively, heart hammering. Zara returned fire, then grabbed his hand again. Run, Ayan. They sprinted down the drain as headlights appeared behind them. Engines roared. 2 black motorcycles entered the tunnel in pursuit. Zara yanked Ayan toward a ladder leading up to a deserted street. She climbed like lightning, urging him up. The moment they hit the surface, she pushed over a dumpster to block the hatch. Ayan bent over, gasping for air. His clean, perfect world was dissolving like smoke. This is insane, he muttered. This, Zara said, eyes scanning the empty street, is what happens when you stop living for them. They try to crush you back into shape. In the distance, faint police sirens mixed with the city's restless hum. For the first time, Ayan wasn't thinking about pleasing his father, the judges, or the crowd. He was thinking about survival, and his choice. Zara turned to him. We've bought minutes, not hours. Decide now, go back to your golden cage, or fight for your truth. And for once, the decision was entirely his. The street stretched before them like a dark vein through the sleeping city. Neon signs flickered faintly in the distance, painting shifting colors Akro's eye. His mind was a storm. Every instinct drilled into him screamed to go home, to let adults fix everything, to retreat into the polished life he'd always known. But deep down, a quiet voice whispered, a voice he'd ignored for years, you've never truly chosen anything for yourself. Zara scanned their surroundings, tense. They'll trace the bikes. We've got 5 minutes before they fan out. Ayan swallowed hard. I could call my father, tell him what's happening. She cut him off sharply. And hand yourself back to the people who put a price on your life. They'll spin this like it never happened. You'll be back on stage tomorrow, smiling while they clean up the mess behind the curtains. Her words hit like a slap. All those years of performing, smiling through exhaustion, winning competitions he never cared about, it wasn't pride. It was control. His father's hand on his shoulder during interviews, guiding his answers. The press releases written for him. The image crafted like a puppet on invisible strings. He clenched his fists. Then what do I do? Zara stepped closer, eyes locked on his. You choose. Not them. Not your father. Not the syndicate. You. You decide whether you'll keep being their symbol, or if you'll start living for something real, even if it means running, fighting, losing everything you thought you needed. The city felt suddenly larger, like it was breathing with him. Ayan inhaled deeply, a tremor in his chest. I'm in, he said quietly at first, then louder, stronger. I'm not going back. Zara's serious expression softened just a fraction. Good. Then we move. They slipped into a narrow alley, shadows swallowing them whole. For the first time in his life, Ayan wasn't playing anyone's script. This was his decision. And decisions have consequences. The alley was a maze of brick walls, rusted fire escapes, and dripping pipes. Zara moved like she'd memorized every shadow. Ayan followed close, his heartbeat drumming in his ears. In the distance, faint engines hummed, organized, methodical. The syndicate wasn't just chasing, they were hunting. Zara stopped suddenly, signaling him to freeze. From the street ahead, 2 men in suits walked slowly, scanning their surroundings like predators tracking scent. Their movements were too clean, too rehearsed. They're not just thugs, Zara whispered. They're trained operatives. Ayan's mind raced. He'd always been the one under spotlights, not hiding from men with guns in dark alleys. He swallowed. What do they want from me now? I've already stopped playing their game. Zara's voice was low and sharp. That's exactly why they want you. When you're controlled, you're valuable. When you break free, you become dangerous. You know their faces, their deals, their lies. They can't let that walk away. The two men split up. One entered the alley from the left, the other circled around. Zara grabbed Ayan's arm and pulled him behind a dumpster. She drew a small knife from her boot, silent weapon. Her breathing slowed to an unnatural calm. Ayan tried to do the same, but his pulse was thunder. Footsteps approached. One of the men stopped inches from their hiding spot. Ayan held his breath so tightly his lungs burned. The man lifted his flashlight, its beam sliced through the darkness like a blade. It paused dangerously close to their faces. Then, out of nowhere, a loud crash echoed at the far end of the alley. Zara smirked faintly. Timer bomb, she whispered. A diversion. The men rushed toward the noise. She seized the moment. Now, she said, and they bolted through a narrow side passage leading deeper into the industrial district. Ayan glanced back for a split second and caught a chilling sight. One of the men looked directly at him through the shadows, as if locking his location into memory. A hunter marking his prey. The narrow passage opened into an abandoned subway station, long forgotten beneath the city. Faded posters peeled off the walls, and old tracks disappeared into endless black tunnels. The air was damp and heavy, echoing every sound like a whispering crowd. Zara led Ayan to a small utility room tucked behind a collapsed staircase. She shut the door silently, locking it with a heavy bolt. We'll hide here till the patrols pass, she said, scanning the room for security cameras. Her movements were precise, practiced. Ayan leaned against the wall, trying to steady his breath. The adrenaline crash hit him like a wave, his hands trembled, his thoughts tangled. Why are you helping me? He finally asked. You said you used to be part of them. Why risk your life now? For a brief moment, Zara's cold exterior cracked. She sat on a dusty bench, eyes distant. I was recruited young. Same way you were groomed, different talent, same leash. They trained me to protect assets like you. Until one day, one of those assets begged me to help him escape. I didn't. The next day, he was gone. Her jaw tightened. I've been running ever since. Ayan absorbed her words, feeling a strange mix of fear and trust. She wasn't just some rogue agent, she was carrying ghosts. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. Zara frowned, pulling it out. The screen flashed a name, Ibrahim Malik. Ayan's heart dropped. That's my father. She stared at the message. It was a live video feed, his father, sitting in his office, surrounded by syndicate men. Ayan, his father's voice came through, steady and commanding. Come home. We can fix this. These people are dangerous. You're making a mistake. For a moment, the room froze. His father's voice, the same voice that shaped every step of his life, was calling him back. Zara's eyes narrowed. They found this line. He's not just reaching out. He's tracking us. Ayan's stomach twisted. Was his father trying to save him, or deliver him back into the syndicate's grip? Trust had never felt this fragile. The small utility room seemed to shrink as his father's voice echoed from Zara's phone. Ayan's pulse hammered against his throat. He stepped closer to the screen, torn between anger, confusion, and a strange, childlike instinct to obey. Ayan, his father repeated, his expression calm but his eyes sharp. I know you're scared. But these people, he glanced sideways at the syndicate men flanking him, they're manipulating you. Come home, son. We can end this quietly. Zara leaned toward Ayan, whispering, it's bait. He's not alone. Look at the man behind him, see that pin on his lapel? Syndicate enforcer. This is a trace call. Ayan's voice trembled as he spoke, but it carried something new, a backbone forming in real time. Why were you at the meeting last week, father? The one in the photo. The contracts. Were you using me? For the first time, his father's mask cracked slightly. His eyes hardened. Everything I've done was for you. For our name. Our legacy. You're a symbol, Ayan. People like us don't get to choose happiness over duty. Those words hit Ayan like ice water. For years, he'd mistaken control for care, pressure for love. Now it was laid bare. No, he said slowly, his voice growing firmer. Everything you did was for yourself. You wanted me perfect, not happy. The syndicate man whispered something to his father, and suddenly the video feed started flickering. Zara's fingers flew over the screen. They're triangulating, she muttered. We have 60 seconds before they have our location. His father leaned closer to the camera. If you walk away now, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. You'll lose everything. Ayan took a deep breath. His entire life had been lived in the shadow of that voice. But tonight, he'd found his own. Then maybe it's time I find out who I am without everything, he said. And with that, Zara smashed the phone on the ground. The sound of shattering glass echoed like a declaration. They were done running from. The moment the phone hit the ground, Zara's instincts snapped into overdrive. She grabbed her backpack and checked the hallway through a cracked tile. Her face darkened. They're already here. The distant hum of footsteps grew louder, multiplying as syndicate operatives poured into the abandoned subway station. Their voices echoed in clipped, military tones. This wasn't a search party anymore. It was a lockdown. Zara loaded a fresh magazine into her pistol. They'll seal off exits in less than 2 minutes. We go through the maintenance tunnel to the old tracks. Ayan tightened his grip on the flashlight, his fear mixing with something new, resolve. He wasn't the boy on the stage anymore. He nodded. Let's move. They slipped out of the utility room and into the maze of underground tunnels. The dim emergency lights flickered overhead, casting long, eerie shadows. A sharp whistle cut through the silence. One of the operatives had spotted them. Target moving, East Tunnel. Gunfire cracked like thunder, echoing off the walls. Ayan ducked as sparks flew from a pipe beside him. Zara returned fire, covering their retreat with precision. Left, she shouted, shoving open a rusty service door. They stumbled into a narrow corridor lined with old lockers and electrical panels. Just as they reached the end, a loud metallic clang echoed behind them. 2 men burst through, blocking the way back. Zara spun and fired, but one bullet ricocheted and hit a fuse box, plunging the corridor into total darkness. Ayan froze, ears straining. He could hear them approaching, measured, confident steps. Zara whispered, "Stay low. Don't breathe loud." The men advanced with night vision goggles, their green lenses glowing like predator eyes. One reached for Ayan's collar, only to be blindsided by a sudden swing of a metal rod. Ayan had grabbed it from the lockers and struck with everything inside him. The man staggered back, shocked. Zara seized the opening and disarmed the second with